A simple vegan carrot cake that will please vegans and omnivores alike. Rich, moist, with a decadent vegan cream cheese frosting, and you don't have to be a master cake decorator to make it a stunner. Thank you for joining me. I'm Catherine, and this is part one of our three-part Easter special where I get some ideas flowing for your holiday plans. So hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications for part 2 and 3 coming at you later this week. And today, I am starting with the ever-essential carrot cake. And if you are used to traditional cakes, then this vegan carrot cake is for you. It'll have the same rich taste and moist, fluffy texture that you're used to, but with a few simple swaps. I'll show you how to make it egg and dairy free. What are those swaps? Well, the dry ingredients are likely the same as you're used to. White all-purpose flour, baking powder, baking soda, salt, and some great spices to make a deliciously flavored cake: cinnamon, nutmeg, and ground cloves. The wet ingredients. I need to replace a couple eggs, and even though I've decided to make a cake as close to a traditional cake as I can, I have still managed to reduce the traditional amount of oil and sugar by a bit. So for that, I need flaxseed, applesauce, and maple syrup. To make 1 flax egg, mix 1 tablespoon ground flaxseed with 3 tablespoons water. Let the mixture sit for 5 minutes, and it will transform into a gloopy texture with the binding power of an egg. There are many great things about using flaxseed in place of eggs. One is the cost. This 1 flax egg cost me roughly 6 cents versus about 50 cents for an egg. And flaxseed, also known as linseed, is full of health benefits. It lasts way longer in your fridge than eggs do, and for most of us, it is quite easy to find in local grocery stores or your bulk store. To make a flax egg, you need ground flaxseed. So you can buy flaxseed meal, this ground flaxseed, or in an effort to preserve as much nutrition as possible, buy the whole seeds, store them in your fridge, and grind them when you need them. I grind about a 1/4 cup at a time in my spice grinder, store it in this little jar, and then I just replenish the ground flaxseed when I need it. In the 5 minutes it takes the flaxseed to thicken, you can grate 1½ cups of carrots if you haven't done that yet, and combine your dry ingredients. 2 cups white all-purpose flour. Make sure to spoon your flour into your measuring cups. If you scoop your flour, you'll be using too much. 2 teaspoons baking powder, 2 teaspoons baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon nutmeg, and 1/8 teaspoon ground cloves. Give those a stir until they're evenly combined. Now my flax egg is gloopy, and it's time to add in the rest of my wet ingredients. 1/2 cup unsweetened applesauce acts as both an egg and oil replacer. 1/2 cup vegetable oil to maintain that rich taste. You can make this cake oil-free by using all applesauce. It loses the rich taste, but if you are more used to baking without oil, then you'll still enjoy it. Now my sweeteners. I'm using 3/4 cup cane sugar for a smidge more nutrition than white sugar, and 1/4 cup maple syrup. Since this cake is frosted, it's easy to reduce the sugar in the cake. And finally, 1½ teaspoon pure vanilla extract. Give the wet ingredients a whisk until that oil is distributed through the other ingredients. Add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients, stirring gently just until no more flour is visible. Gently fold in 2½ cups grated carrot, just until it's more evenly mixed, and pour your batter into your cake pans. I use 2 8-inch round baking pans. If you are using different sized or shaped pans, then watch your cake closely as it bakes because the baking time will be different. I butter and flour my cake pans so that my cakes will easily come out after they're baked, an essential step. And I divide the batter between them as evenly as I can. Spread the batter gently into an even layer and bake at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 22 to 27 minutes until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. You can also make muffins or cupcakes with this recipe. I made 12 muffins and baked them for about 25 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So depending on their size, between 15 and 30 minutes, keep an eye on them. These are a few days old and they're still good. Let your cakes cool in the tins for 10 to 15 minutes and then turn them out onto cooling racks if you have them and let them cool completely. You can't frost your cake until it's fully cool, otherwise the frosting will melt. And speaking of frosting, so how do you make a vegan cream cheese frosting? Well, the most convenient thing to do is to simply replace the butter and cream cheese with dairy-free store-bought alternatives. I did try making my own vegan cream cheese from scratch, and although I preferred the taste, the frosting split, it was more temperamental, and it was only marginally more cost-effective than buying a store-bought alternative. I would assume that a plant-based cream cheese would be more expensive than a traditional cream cheese, but depending on what access you have to different brands, you might even save $1 or $2. Today I'm using a brand called Tofutti that is quite popular, but if you're in Canada or some parts of the US, the first few times I made this cake, I used the President's Choice plant-based cream cheese, which is lower in price, and I actually prefer it. Tofutti has a great texture, but it lacks that bit of tang that I expect in a cream cheese. I don't know what else I was saying. I think that was it. That should have been like cream cheese. End of sentence. You need 3 things to make a cream cheese frosting, and the second is butter. I usually buy spreadable butter in a container, but for frosting, go with block butter. And the brands Earth Balance and Miyoko's are generally suggested as the best vegan butters for frosting. And the third ingredient is powdered sugar. Let's make it. In a stand mixer with a paddle attachment or your electric mixer, add half a cup block butter. You want your butter to be a cool room temperature. Vegan butter melts quicker than regular butter, so don't leave it out too long. You want to be able to indent the butter if you press on it, but you don't want it to be greasy and melty. Beat on medium until the butter is light and smooth. Add room temperature vegan cream cheese and beat on medium until it is fully combined with the butter. Next, add 2 to 4 cups powdered icing sugar, a little at a time. I like to add in 1/4 cup at a time and stop my machine to scrape down the sides as needed. I like the taste of just 2 cups of sugar, but less sugar means a less firm frosting. The more sugar you add, the firmer your frosting will be. If you go with less sugar, you will need time to chill the frosting in the fridge and allow it to firm up from the cold. If you want to frost your cake right away, you will likely need 3 to 4 cups of sugar to make the frosting firm enough to use without chilling. My cakes have cooled, my frosting is chilled, it's time to decorate. I like to keep things simple and keep the sides of the cake bare. Lay your first cake on a cake stand or plate and frost the top, making sure to gently push the frosting to the edge of the cake. Sandwich the frosting in with the other cake and frost what will be the very top of your cake. If you have leftover frosting, you can try frosting the sides or piping decorations on the top. You can store the frosting in your fridge for 3 to 4 days and use it on other treats like sandwich cookies, or freeze the frosting for longer storage. Decorate the top of the cake how you wish. I love toasted crushed walnuts or toasted coconut. This might be one of my best achievements. I don't consider myself a very skilled baker, mostly because I tend to try to bake with as little oil, sugar, white flour as I can, all the things that typically make baking a little easier. But if you are intimidated by baking cakes, then I have full faith that you will be able to make this one and it will please a crowd. This simple vegan carrot cake that vegans and non-vegans alike will love costs us about $5.10 for the cake, and the vegan cream cheese frosting costs us between $5.28 and $7.69, depending on which brand of cream cheese I use and how much sugar I add. If I make a traditional cream cheese frosting, it would cost me between $7.20 and $7.61. This cake is moist, it's fluffy, it's rich, and it might even save you $1 or $2. I hope you liked this episode. Please subscribe. We have a new video for you every Sunday at 5 p.m. and coming at you this Wednesday, we have part 2 of our Easter special, and I am making the flakiest vegan biscuits you ever did see. Like, actually. It's all in the method. I have some tricks. Tune in and watch.